In my personal life, this is the first time when I see that all people all around the world are affected. And of course, it makes me think a lot about the meaning of the music, meaning of the art. What does it mean for us? Why does it exist, and what it can give us all? You know, I'm playing piano since I'm 5 years old. So for me, it's very natural also to express my feelings, my emotions, my life experiences through the music. So for me, it's in a way, it feels very, natural, like in a way like speaking. But this time, I have recognized that many people are really seeking for the escape from this reality which we are surrounded now. And music is definitely, it gives us so much hope on one hand, but it gives us also strength. It reminds us on who we are, why we're here, why we live, what is the reason. And of course, for me also, it reminds us on one hand on the fragility of our world. On the other hand, it shows us the light, which is bigger than words, which is bigger than language or something, because we can communicate through this musical language all over the world, and we understand each other, we feel each other. And it, in my opinion, also brings us together, that we know that we're not alone. Also in this difficult time and difficult situation, we can still hold together. And I think this is what unites us also, once we share this music.
Okay, so hello to all our friends on Classical Archives. It's my real joy today to welcome Yulianna Avdeeva to our video blog on the occasion of the release of her fabulous new album, Resilience, which we're going to talk about. Absolutely thrilled to have her with me today. I wanted to ask you a question about resilience that actually doesn't have to do with your album. I wonder if you want to talk about this. I mean, I've looked at your upcoming schedule and your schedule for the last year, and you will go to England, Spain, Japan, Taiwan, and fly around the world and play recitals. And I've watched videos of you playing in so many different places. Everything is always so beautiful and so fresh. So I wanted to ask you about resilience as a person and a performer. How do you manage to do that?
Well, first of all, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here at the Classical Archives. So thank you so much for having me. Well, I think what you're talking about, it's basically, I just love what I do. I had to take a little break before speaking it out. I just literally so admire what I'm doing, or let's say I also admire music itself, because for me, music is a kind of universal language which allows me or us to communicate without knowing each other, without speaking each other's language sometimes. And still we communicate on this emotional level, on this level, which is sometimes it's even not possible to describe it with words, but it's possible to describe it with music. So I think that music indeed is just a unique achievement and of the mankind. And then of course it's a privilege to be able to share my passion with so many people around the world. And I think it's also a great responsibility, at the moment when I touch the piano. it cannot be something, also for practice, actually, I think it cannot be something, you know, or how should I explain, something really very casual that you know, I think that, oh, okay, now I sit down. Still, it needs a kind of certain respect towards the piano, towards the composer, and towards myself, of course, as well. So I think it's, yeah, it's a combination of things. But first of all, yeah, I'm just very, yeah, I literally burn for what I'm doing. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. We're all the beneficiaries of that work. So thank you. About your new CD, which is the new Pentatone CD, Resilience. I wanted to ask you some questions about that and about, what thinking went behind that. It strikes me as really remarkable because it's, all of the four different composers who were represented were all having problems, for lack of a better term, in their lives. And they rose above that, but they're not. One of the interesting things about the album, I think, is that they're not all victims of the Soviet regime and Stalin. They're not all victims of the Nazis. Um, they're they're all faced with intense challenges in very different ways. So, and anyhow, I don't mean to talk too much about it, but what kind of thinking went behind the programming?
You are absolutely right. There is no one cause, let's say, why the composers on the CD was facing the challenges they faced, but the origin of the idea of the origin of the Resilience album is actually, the I know the family of Władysław Szpilman for many, many years. So Władysław Szpilman was a Polish pianist and composer who described his his experiences during the World War II in Warsaw Ghetto in his diaries, which became base for the Roman Polanski movie The Pianist. And I know his family since a couple of years, well, many years already, actually. And it was this first pandemic fall in 2020, and I received a call from Władysław Szpilman's son, who invited me to to make a performance in Warsaw on the Władysław Szpilman's house piano. And of course, for me, it was a unique chance to get a little closer to the personality of Władysław Szpilman, because for me, the closest friend of a pianist is, of course, his piano, especially the home piano, because with the piano you share the emotions, the feelings which you sometimes cannot even put in any words. And I was, of course, very moved by this opportunity. And then the son Andrzej is his name, the son of Władysław Szpilman, gave me a score of two pieces of Władysław Szpilman. And I have to say, well, first of all, Szpilman also studied composition in Berlin. And the first piece, it's actually a wonder, great gift that we have it. It's called Suite, The Life of the Machines, which Władysław Szpilman composed in 1933. And it's very clear, actually has this clear link to the industrial life, the spirit of the time in a way. He actually wanted to become a classical composer. But of course, for me, that's just so hard to, just to understand this, because we don't have so much survived pieces by Szpilman, because during the war, most of them have been destroyed. And after the war, Władysław Szpilman was so traumatized that he could not reconstruct any piece which he composed before the war. So we have like maybe 5 or 6 pieces in total which survived the war. And the suite is indeed a great gift, because the manuscript of the suite was also considered lost. And it was a great surprise in the year 2000 that the original copy, it was also proved that it was written with the hand of Vladislav Spielmann, appeared in California. Funny enough, because Vladislav Spielmann gave this copy in the 30s to his friend who emigrated to States. And this friend apparently somehow forgot about it, and they had some damage in the house, and this copy was found. And since then, we can all enjoy this I think it's very humor. The piece also, which is full of humor. It's somehow, because the machines in this piece, in my opinion, have also some kind of human qualities. Because the title for the second movement, for instance, is "The Machines at Rest." So also the machines need a kind of rest, which is for me definitely human quality. Well, however, I was very moved, of course, to have the score of this piece and to perform it. And the second piece by Vladislav Spielmann, which I have played, was his Mazurka, which he composed in 1942 as he was suffering in the Warsaw ghetto. And he, as being a Jewish artist, he was not allowed to play any music by Frédéric Chopin. And he composed the Mazurka, which sounds in a way like in Chopin style, but it's not an imitation copy. It's just this creative mind of him. And this piece is very short. It's very, very moving. It's in a way the kind of reminiscence, remembering of something beautiful in the past and hoping for a better future. So these pieces are in a way kind of, for me, also historical documents, which also show us how the composers were dealing with the challenges or really very dangerous moments in their lives, or basically very tragic situations, and how they were expressing themselves or finding maybe also their strengths also in music. So that was actually how the first idea came to my mind, this invitation from the family of Vladislav Spielmann.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained what you did about the mazurka, because it's a little different from his other pieces, but boy, it's a beautiful piece. It really is. And it's interesting. The life of machines is, as you talk about, I'm thinking about, the ballet mécanique of Antel, but this is so much warmer and more humor. It's less mechanical, I guess you'd have to say.
Absolutely. I think was also, many pieces in this period, like also, of course, Bartok or Prokofiev toccata, or also Ravel and Debussy. So they are all somehow reacting, also reflecting in their music on the industrialization. So I'm sure that, these machines in the music of Spielmann, they have definitely they have some charm, I think, even.
I think so, yeah, definitely. So I want to ask you about resilience just as a concept. Usually when you talk about Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto or people who are confronting, composers in general, people who are confronting Stalinism, you hear people talk about bravery. People were brave, they fought back, but what happened? Well, sometimes people say people had hope, but what about resilience? What do you think about that as a concept of strength?
I think that for me, I personally, of course, it's very subjective opinion, right? It's only mine. So I think that the composers, because the pieces I have said, it's not even about the life of these composers. It's more indeed the reaction in their musical reaction on some challenging situations in their lives, which have been very different. But what they have in common for sure is that most of those situations have been created by the society they lived in. So I'm not talking about, private, private tragic events or happenings. I'm talking about in real about the social crisis in a way, which in a way also was the cause for the challenging situations in the lives of these four composers. So I think it's also, for instance, why I have chosen the piece, which maybe some people ask me why first sonata by Shostakovich. Why is it? Because it's a very early work. It's a work from 1926, so there is no. He was not aware yet about what will happen. He was very young, just graduated. He had a great success of the first symphony, but exactly this success of the first symphony caused his depression, actually, because he went through a very big artistic crisis, because he was not sure what artistically where he should go. He was not sure where he should develop, because he was a kid of the classical Russian composition school. And of course, all those great masters like Arensky and many others were still teaching and living, and they were also teaching him. But of course, the life, also cultural life in the 20s in the Soviet Union, but I think everywhere in Europe, it was so rich. And you could also feel all those, these new movements. I mean, in the art, they were also very present. And I think Shostakovich was literally feeling that if he will go, if he will just follow the tradition, it will not lead him anywhere. Wow. But it required a big courage also of him being a very young man, to leave it all behind and say, no, I'll go my way. So for me, the first sonata it's one of the most progressive pieces, in my opinion, which Shostakovich has ever composed. It is in a real avant-garde style. So you will never, if you don't know that, when I heard this piece for the first time, I was shocked, because for me, I would never recognize that it's Shostakovich music. It has nothing, it's a real avant-garde. So the sonata is in one movement. It consists of sections. So it maybe will remind you somehow even maybe on a Kandinsky painting or something. So you have, or on the painting I have on my wall, you see, so there are different colors. You see the red one, so you have different colors. Just, there is no transition. There is sometimes also no relation, or let's say on the surface, there is no relation in the episodes, but it is in a way he is destroying the entire background which he grew up on. So I think, as I said, that was his breakthrough. He wanted to set himself free, and I think that required also great courage to do that. And I think, that was an extremely progressive time also in Shostakovich's work. Later on, because of many reasons, for me personally, he went more to a very traditional. I'm not talking about, about the late 19th century, but I mean in the tonality, in terms of tonality, it's more classical, neoclassical. In terms of basic language, it's more to, this piece is exceptional. It's a radical, like nothing else. Maybe the opera nose is in a similar style, but this nose is also was composed very close to the sonata. So this is radical and an absolute fantastic, extraordinary piece, which for me is also another way of dealing with difficult situations. So you literally leave everything behind, what you had, heavy backpack which you had on your back, and then you say, no, that I leave it behind, I go a new path. So I think that's what this sonata is about.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was listening actually just last week to a Shostakovich piece, The Song of the Forests, which is an oratorio written in the 1940s. And you'd never know it was written by the same person who wrote the piece that you recorded. It's just a piece of basically propaganda that could have been written in 1895. It's amazing it's by the same person.
Yeah.
You mentioned traditional Arensky and a whole line of traditional Russian composition. Is there, people talk about the tradition of Russian pianism and playing the piano, Richter and back, I guess, to the first Rubinstein and stuff like that. Do you think there really a, a, a Russian tradition of piano playing, or is it just something that Americans think exists?
Well, I think indeed that in Europe there were different type of, let's say, different indeed piano schools. There was a very strong French school, where also, of course, Debussy was one of the important figures there. Then there was a very strong Italian piano school, German school, and I think also, but yes, and of course also Russian. But I think as the world has changed, and we have we as young people we have a chance to go to different places to study, coming from one part of the world to go studies to another part of the world and get new impulses. I think it's not for me personally. I don't think it's a relevant point anymore, and I don't think that you can also I see it in my case. It's, I mean, of course I grew up in Moscow, and my first teacher was Russian, so I was so lucky with her because I came as a kid. I was 5 years old to her class, and then I studied with her till my graduation. So for 13 years I was with her.
Wow.
So I mean, this is my base. This is my fundament, right? Then I went to Zurich, Switzerland, where I studied with the Russian pianist Konstantin Sherbakov. But he's coming, although he is coming from Russian tradition, he went himself a completely different direction as a pianist, and for me it was completely new impulse which I received from him. And then my last station was in Italy at the International Piano Academy Lake Como. And the idea of this academy was that we were like 6 students for 1 year. And we had a chance to work every month for 3 days or 3-4 days with different musicians, so different pianists. So we were getting literally, we could decide which repertoire we'll play for whom. And this was a great thing because then you were having so many different ideas from different people, and then my brain was literally like, oh, this. So I think that's so important that from a certain age that you have this wide view on the things, that you don't follow only one rule or one, as good as it might be, but if you follow only one, you will reach the limit at one certain point, I think, because the art is just the art for me has no limits. That's why I say it's maybe the greatest achievement of the mankind is arts, basically, and of course music. And I don't think that if we set up the limits for ourselves already, that we will be able to go to the very core, after a certain point. So I think it's this open-minded mind that is crucial for artists.
So I'm sorry to ask something so mundane, but you're kind of going out of the frame a little bit to one side. Could I ask you to move a little bit to your left, just
Yes.
physically? Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry to even ask, but you're kind of getting out of the frame a little bit. Do you think music still offers hope in difficult times? Is music more important now that there's so many problems in the world, or what do you think about that?
I hope that, because for me, it definitely music gives me support in all situations in life. I mean, when I'm happy, music can also help me and support me, and but of course also when I have when I experience something tragic, it's also my support, my this is something what helps me also to process things. And I cannot imagine. I hope that that's at least what I also hear from other people, that music gives us comfort, music gives us hope. I think it's actually this is endless source, which is basically available for everyone who is open to it. So I think it's yeah, it's actually indeed something very important in our lives. Well, at least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, me too. Funny, I, th- I think that Brahms' first piano concerto actually saved my life. It was a period in my life where both my parents had died, and I was going to clean out their house. So every day I was driving to clean out their house and then driving back home again. And I had a cassette in my old car of Rubinstein playing Brahms' first piano concerto, and that really was so helpful to me in a difficult time. It was just, I think it really did save my life in a lot of ways. And also, your recording of the Brahms, there's a video of your playing Brahms 1, which is just so extraordinary. So I hope people will look for that and watch it.
Thank you.
So, no,
I'm
thank
glad.
you.
I'm sorry uh, for you, and I mean for your loss, and I understand that, and I'm glad that you found something what could give you support, and that was Brahms D minor concerto. Of course, it's a great piece.
It really is. Yeah, it's both troubling and reassuring all at once.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fabulous piece. Of course, everybody knows it's a fabulous piece. So, may I ask you, new recording projects coming up? Do you have some things in the works?
Yes, I will be going actually very soon to Montana. There is a beautiful place. I have been twice to this place already. It's in Tippet Rice Art Center. I don't know whether you have heard about it. So it's a fantastic, it's a unique place. It's a little bit, well, it's 2 hours away from Billings, and the territory of the art center is just huge. So there are outdoor sculptures there, and the concert hall, which has been built recently. It's made of wood, so it was originally a barn, which was rebuilt as a concert hall now, and it's wonderful. It has fantastic acoustics, and it's an amazing atmosphere there. So there is a summer festival there where I have been twice already. So with one piano recital, then last year I have been there with Gideon Kremer, violinist, so we were playing together there as well. And so now, end of February, I will be going there just for report. So I'm very curious how Montana looks like in winter. I assume that there is lots of snow,
Yeah,
which I would be very happy to see.
yeah,
And in unique environment, I will be recording a Chopin album. So this will be a recording which will consist of the very late period of Chopin's work, starting from the third sonata, followed by Mazurkas, Opus 59, Barcarolle, Opus 60, Polonaise Fantasy, Opus 61, and two nocturnes, Opus 62. So this is like his five major opuses in the end. Well, there will be also of course cello sonata coming later, but I'm talking about solo pieces. And yeah, this will be my place, my recording place for the next recording, and I'm very excited about it.
that's very interesting. So a young woman from Moscow goes to Montana, so it's fabulous.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Excuse me.
It's indeed very. That sounds fun. But I was twice there in summer. So if you have a chance to go there, they have the festival from second half of August till middle of September. Please do that. It's a unique place. You will love it. It's so, yeah, just great place to be.
Montana is an amazing state. It's absolutely flat when you drive west, and then suddenly the Rockies. I don't know if you've had that experience, but it's like, oh, there's nothing. So there's nothing happening here. All of a sudden, it's wow. The Rockies. It's
Yeah.
astonishing. It really is. And because I'm a small-minded person. I want very, you know,
Please.
no, I'm just making a joke. You know, I just am jealous of everybody around the world to get to hear you play recitals, and I'm just wanted to ask about whether you're going to be coming back to the New York area again.
I will be coming back to the New York area next fall.
Okay,
So as soon as check please the Carnegie Hall website. When they will announce next season, you will find it there. So I'm very happy about it to be back soon.
fabulous. I know you gave a very well received recital here last February, which I unfortunately missed, but good. I'm glad you're coming back. I wanted to
Thank you.
ask too, just quickly, if you had any advice for younger pianists about competitions or
I
competitions
think
for some people.
there is no. It's very individual thing because there is no recipe which works for everyone. I think it depends very much on the personality. If you feel like you would like to, try it out without, let's say, without making big, let's say, without being disappointed in the end, doesn't matter what comes out. Then if you would like to see whether it can be helpful for you to prepare the programs for a certain moment, that you literally go with the preparation, that you know how to prepare the pieces with having a certain deadline, like competition rounds, for instance. If you want to try out how this works without really being disappointed or upset too much after, if nothing positive comes out, then you definitely should and can do that. If you know that it's not something what you will deal with well, I would say rather not. But to be honest, I think that there are many ways to, there is no one way how to get how to start playing on stage more and more. And I think, as I said, for me, I it was very, I'm very happy that actually I had this experience preparing for the Chopin competition, because Chopin competition is unique because, of course, you play music only by one composer. So basically it happens very, of course you have some competitions, but on this level it's actually probably only Chopin competition. And it's very helpful basically to have a kind of, to prepare the music by one composer for one period of time. It doesn't mean I am actually very much for this kind of very all-rounded recital programs, and I don't, or at least that you practice and you study very different pieces, so that you don't only play the music by one composer. But for some periods, I think, and for some composers, and Chopin is one of these, I think it can be also very exciting and can bring lots of joy, lots of inspiration. But I think it's important to, as we said, to be open-minded. And I think all music periods or styles are connected with each other. And, I realized that, that of course, playing, for instance, some Baroque music or Bach, let's be particular, Bach, can also give me some new ideas for Chopin's music. But I also have experiences when I play modern, like contemporary music. For instance, last year I was playing some pieces by Toru Takemitsu, Japanese, wonderful Japanese composer. And he is very atmospheric. So I had a one place in the piece which I was playing with a very, crystal-like sound in a very high register, which I very much somehow like. I like the effect he was expecting in this place. And somehow I realized that I was thinking, wow, that sounds great. Maybe I can try this sound in the middle part of the third Chopin scherzo. And then as I realized what I was thinking, I thought, wow, now I'm thinking other way around, that that this music of, let's say, later period can be also very inspiring for the music of later, of earlier composers.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
very important to keep this, this range, huge range.
Boy, I've never heard anybody say anything like that before. Thank you very much. Takamitsu could influence Chopin. It's very mind blowing. That's wonderful. So, um, I think we certainly covered an awful lot of territory, which is wonderful. And thanks for thinking about these issues so deeply. Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
I would be just, I would just share my hope that you also, let's say, that you also enjoy music as much as I do. And if you have a chance, just for yourself, to touch any instrument you have, just try it, because it's a wonderful, unique way of expression. And it doesn't matter which level you play, but just to try to express yourself through music. And as I said, it can be any instrument. Maybe you will like it. So I would be happy to encourage you to do that. So try this.
That's wonderful. Okay. So I cannot thank you enough for spending this time with us.
I
Thinking,
thank you. Thank you so much. So all
thank
the
you,
best,
and
and I
you as well.
hope to see you in this fall.
Okay. I will not miss it. Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you again for your wonderful new CD.
Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
thanks so much. Take good care.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks so
Bye.
much. Bye.
Bye. Bye.